to the Adventure of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Moment to moment, searching for years, love staying low, and a road for you, dear. It's hot in the city, it's hot on the land. Graveyard is full.
This is Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm here with
Tyler Baker of Goodbye June.
Nice. Here on Shiprocked.
I am.
I caught your guys' set. Badass. When's your second set? Because I can't wait to see that one too.
It's tomorrow in the club, in the aft lounge.
Oh, that's going to be even better.
Yeah. Low ceilings. Like everybody,
be careful.
Everybody pushes up. It's cool.
Be careful because you got a band already broke light bulbs because it's so low.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
The cruise line does not like the broken light bulbs.
Yeah, not big fans. Yeah.
So, you guys played Shiprocked before?
This will be our third time.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit about your experience as an artist being on something like this compared to doing shows, festivals, whatever.
It almost feels like camping out at a music festival like Bonnaroo or wherever, but it's all like this music festival that if you want to go take a nap, you go to your cabin
right.
and come back or whatever you want to do. And I find that pretty interesting that you're like, the artist lives in the festival with amongst the fans. And I think that's the biggest difference of this is like, I mean, I was just getting coffee and I had, hey man, love your set. Like, hey, what's your name? Take a picture. It's like, it's a little different than like a music festival
where you're secluded from general.
Yeah, you're kind of secluded, and then you go play your set, then you're typically out of there.
Yeah.
Right? But this is like, you get to slow down as an artist, and you're on the ship for 7 days, and it's great to mingle and meet fans and hear their stories about what your music means to them, and like a really long meet and greet.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, too, because I found other artists told me, like, I don't know, they find the crowd on Shiprocked kind of cooler in the respect of they don't mind mingling with the crowd. Like, people are very respectful and not like, you're eating, they don't come up and bug you while you're eating. Whereas if you were at a festival, that would definitely happen.
Right, yeah. That's been my experience so far.
That's cool to hear. And that's why bands like you would want to play on this, because otherwise, if you're stuck with everybody, it could be kind of not fun. If people weren't cool.
Yeah. The only, I'm not going to call it a counter argument to that, but the only piece of evidence I've ever seen that's a little contrary to that was we were hanging out with Lizzie Hale from Hellstorm a couple years ago, and the fans were great, but she couldn't move more than 20 feet without taking a picture or
that's not cool.
And that's fine. And she's gracious. She did that with everybody, and I was kind of like, I was hanging out with Joe Hottinger from the band, and I'm like, bro, is it like this all the time? He's like, dude, all the time. He's like, people just want to spend some time with her. So I find that I could see it in her eyes at the end of the night, man. She was drained, because not in a bad way, just physically drained. Like, I
get it.
And so I understand, like, that's the other side of it.
But the cool thing about Lizzie is that she actually did that instead of hiding in her cabin. Mm-hmm. Because she could have done that. She could have just hid in her cabin and nobody would bother her.
Yeah, I hung out with him a couple of evenings, and from my experience, like, she was the textbook clinic on how to hang out and make connections with your fans personally. She was like running a clinic on it. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like hearing that. So what else you got going on in 2025?
2025, we'll do some more shows, and we're starting to write some music. And so we'll see where that goes. But right now, we've just kind of been spending time with our families, and this is our last show of the year. I kind of counted as 2024.
Right.
You know? I kind of counted that way. So closing that out, and then rumors is we're going to start writing music and doing that, I guess, in the late winter, spring. And then I will be on the road in summer, probably.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you a question probably nobody has ever asked you, which is kind of rare.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And
we'll
you
see.
can tell me if I'm right or
we'll
wrong.
See.
But I noticed before we even started the interview, tell me about your watch.
Oh, okay. I'm not
Because it's cool.
I spent my whole life not paying attention to watches, and then I turned a certain age, and all of a sudden I thought watches were cool. I think it's when you get old, you think watches are cool. That's what
Right? It's like your hair goes gray and you get a watch.
So we were doing this theater show in my hometown, Jasper, Indiana. We try to do one every year or every other year, and I always try to bring up some awesome support bands, like bands that I love from Nashville, like just bands I want to hear.
Right.
So this last time we did it, we had Bones Owens, who's a wonderful artist. If you don't know him, go check him out. He supported us, and we were down in the green room. There's a shared green room, so we were down in the green room, and I've never before stopped and admired another man's watch. I was like, dude, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's, told me about it. And I was like, I gotta go get one. And it's kind of a vintage. It's like they don't make them anymore.
Right. That's why I was looking at it. I'm like, that is cool.
Yeah. And I was like, dude. So he told, and I sent him a picture. My mom and my wife got it for me for Christmas. So I've sent him a picture at Christmas. I said, dude, it's all your fault, bro. And like I showed him, and then he texted me back. He's like, I'm wearing mine too.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I blame Bones on having really good taste.
So now, was I right or wrong? Has anybody ever asked you about your watch?
No. You're the first. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I was. It was a safe bet, I think.
Yeah.
So now I'll give you a trivia question.
Shoot.
What musical artist that used to be in a metal band isn't anymore is one of the top watchmakers in the world?
Wow. I don't know.
Dan Spitz from Anthrax.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's awesome. Does he have a brand? Like a certain
Yeah, if you
I'll
go
have
on
to check
his
it out.
Instagram, in fact, we're
have to
really
check it
good
out.
friends. He lives near me. He's in Delray Beach, Florida. He actually has a place there.
Wow.
But he's renowned throughout the world. That's why if you know any of their
Check 'em out.
albums,
Yeah.
the one song Time, got
Yeah.
the time?
Yeah.
That was from him because
Wow.
of his watchmaking ability.
So he's been making watches this whole time, and
Yeah.
Anthrax is just a wonderful hobby he has.
Well, he's not in Anthrax anymore, so
yeah.
it
was a hobby. Yeah.
till
Yeah.
it wasn't as well paid of a hobby, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. And but his father, I think, was a watchmaker, so it's been in him since
awesome.
he's a kid. So okay, well, I guess I'll put the guitar down and grab the screwdriver.
Cool. Yeah. Man, shoot, that's awesome. Great story.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, what great story do you have? All these years
Oh my
being
God,
an
dude.
artist, good, bad, crazy, not crazy. What's one that really is planted in your head?
Well, I got to fanboy over ZZ Top. The last time we
Wow.
opened for him, he came down and sat with us and had lunch, and just like we've been friends for 30 years, he just started talking. I was like, "Hey, Billy, what's up, man? You got a ranch out in Texas, don't you?" And like just start talking, and just sweet dude. I'll tell you this one, the Shiprocked, probably one of my favorites. Is I was on Shiprocked. It was the year Alter Bridge was on, so I don't know if that was 22 or 2020. I don't remember, but Alter Bridge was on. We were up in Artist Catering, and I spy Mark Tremonti. There's not a lot of people that I get starstruck over anymore. Like literally in my life, it's been Billy Gibbons and Mark Tremonti, the two people who have starstruck me. Oh, and Mark Hoppus from Blink-182.
Nice.
Yeah, I have very embarrassing story about that. We'll not do that one. No, so I'm going and I'm getting my plate, and Brian from Hailstorm, the bass player,
Yeah.
he was sitting by Mark Tremonti, like, oh, dude, that's my in. I was thinking in my head, like, that's my in. I'm going to go sit by Brian. I was like, because I know him. We got kids the same age. We hang out. I'm like, dude, this is going to be great. I'm like all nervous. My hands are shaking. And so I get my food, and I kind of bebop slowly, stalkery over around Brian. So it's me, Brian, and then Mark Tremonti. And Brian, is as nice of a dude as he is, he leans back, and he's like, hey, Tyler, you ever met Mark? I was like, no, I haven't, man. Shook his hand. I was like, hey, I'm Tyler. And he was like, what band are you with? And I said, I'm a little band. I was like, I'm Goodbye June. And he's like, no way, man. He's like, I listened to all the bands on this cruise. He's like, you guys were my favorite.
Wow.
And I like start like, not, I've cried very rarely. I didn't cry at my own children's birth. I almost cried. Like,
That was worth it.
because I was like, Mark. And then I got to fangirl I limited it to like 15 seconds. I was like, dude, you taught me how to play modern guitar. I was like, I was playing like classic rock stuff. I was playing ZZ Top stuff, Creedence Clearwater Revival stuff. And I was like, but man, when Creed came out, like you taught me how to drop D, which is a tuning on the guitar, and then play another way, a new way that was fresh.
I love that.
And like, I was like, dude, you taught me how to play modern guitar. And he's like, oh, he's super gracious dude. So, and then we all just sat around and talked, telling stories. I mean, he's just a real dude, man. Like what you see on his interviews is exactly how he treats guys like me, who from his perception, guys like me are probably just baby bands, and maybe he has a positive or negative experience with people like that being too gurmy, I guess, or whatever. He was gracious. I still love that story. Like,
I love that story. You know what's so funny about that story? This is going to blow your mind. So, yeah, I've interviewed Mark a few times, but I met him personally because Dan Spitz is friends with him and introduced me to him when I brought Dan to a festival one time and like, hey. And then I brought my grandson to one of the festivals, and my grandson interviewed Mark, and then Mark basically brought him up on stage, like side stage.
Yeah.
And the band was playing to him, and not even looking at the crowd. Like, I have video of it,
Oh my
like
gosh,
the look
that's
on my
great.
grandson's face. Like, those are the experiences that bring people to this business.
Right.
You're a
Yeah, that's
kid
kind
and
of
have
what
that
it's all
experience,
about.
you know?
And us as musicians and podcasters, entertainers, everybody, you always have this draw. There's always this small pool for you to like make the wrong decisions based on money. Mm-hmm. That's always like this evil little thing that's always trying to draw you to it. Like, oh, make the record that you think sells the most versus the record that's honest.
That's
Like, you
why I
constantly
do
have
this
little,
now.
Yeah, you constantly have that little whisper in your ear. So, and I think there's a good community of people that have negated that or rejected that thought. And you have great talents like Mark Termani that's got 3 rad bands, you know?
And he's the nicest
And
guy.
the nicest guy all the time. Like, all the time.
All the time. It's just all him. And see, that's what I like to see. And, you know, you're talking about ZZ Top. It reminded me of Leonard Skinner, who I interviewed a few times, but they're just good old boys. Like, they're like one of my favorite interviews because they had no idea they're Leonard Skinner. They were laughing the whole time, having a good old time, and like just no ego whatsoever. Ever.
Yes.
You know? And they were playing around. Like, I asked that same question that I did to you. And Rosington says, the time when we had sex with the Spice Girls backstage. And then he goes, edit that out.
That's funny.
And he was kidding about the edit it out, but the sense of humor he had to that, you know?
Right.
So, yeah. And see, those are the cool things I like listeners to know about. Like, because you guys are just real people.
Yeah.
And I think
Thanks.
people forget about that. You know, they see you up on stage, and they forget that you're just real people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mow my own lawn.
See that? There you go. You're a better man than me. I'm divorced because my ex-wife hated that I didn't mow the lawn and I paid somebody else to do it. She wanted the type of dude that would do it himself. I'm like, I just took you to Paris. I think that's better than mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
it's true, though. It's like some of those little things are more important for sure.
Sure. But different strokes, right?
That's right. Well, you guys are badass.
Thank you.
And I'm
Thank you.
so happy you're on Shiprocked again.
Again? Yes.
And I can't wait to see a lot more of you.
Yeah, dude. Well, we'll be out and about next year, and we play tomorrow at the club.
Nice.
It's going to be great.
The club is fun.
The club's is great. Like, I love the deck stage too, but I feel like the sound just kind of evaporates in the air. Whereas
It's
when you're in a
funny
club,
you should say that.
Yeah.
Because everybody I've been hanging out with, that like friends, people I know, they all rather go to that club because they just comment how great the sound is in that club.
it keeps the sound down and it keeps it very intimate. Whereas the deck stage is cool, but it kind of evaporates in the air and it's not.
There's nothing stopping the sound.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So to my ears, everything feels just a touch reverby and washy and like slapbacky.
Yeah.
And that's fun too. You know, I mean, good Lord, playing out in the sun, drinking a beer, playing rock music, that's a pretty good gig. So I'm not going to complain.
On a boat.
On a boat, yeah.
You know, and then you get to go to St. Thomas tomorrow and hang out, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little better than a festival in that respect.
A little better, yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for doing all the great creativity and music that you do, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Come on. Adventures of Pipeman for life.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.